Hello and welcome to Winter Disco Tabletop Gaming. We've got dragons. Dragons are back. Huge, giant dragons that, I'll be honest, are not only good for Age of Sigmar, but also very, very good for Dungeons & Dragons. That's right, I'm bringing back Dungeons & Dragons to the channel. Yeah, not really. Honestly, these two dragons are just stunningly cool. Lots of character, loaded up with charm and charisma and savagery, as all dragons should. So I've had a brief look at the video in the background, just showing some close-up shots and things, but let's actually look at more of a straight-up image. First up, we have Krondys, who is the son of Drakothian. He's perched up on some ancient ruins, his wings spanning out, giant clawed hands, giant tail, giant head. Seriously, such a glorious model. These dragons are buff as well. Check out the upper body muscles, just ripped. Seriously, such a cool model. I don't think this is one of the largest dragon models that we've seen in miniatures in general. I think it's pretty big compared to other Warhammer dragon miniatures. From a Dungeons and Dragons perspective, I think there are far bigger ones. I think WizKids do a giant one, which is almost like 2 or 3 times the size of this, as far as I can tell based on the scaling when you compare it to images in the video when it's standing next to some Stormcast Eternals. But still, such a giant model. I am interested to see how big it is compared to other models, like particularly some Mega Gargants and things like that. But it just seems to be so big, and it has the wingspan to make it seem far more imposing than it actually is as well. A lot of the times you see dragons that are low to the ground with the wings spread horizontally. This one has the wings spread up vertically. So about Krondys himself, he's part of, they're saying, integral member of Sigmar's inner circle, and wears some armor that has a lot of substantial magical abilities, so it enhances his magic. So this is the magic dragon. And as we know, if you come from a Dungeons & Dragons background, dragons in that game have a ton of abilities. They are super powerful. Sure, you get little baby ones that are pretty easy to deal with even at low levels, but even when you're like the top level of D&D, 20th level, you have these dragons that are just impossible to deal with, simply because of just how ferocious and fierce they are, but how intelligent and magically inclined they are. They're just ridiculously powerful. When we get into the close-ups of this, we can see how nicely sculpted all of this is, from the scales that really show off the definition of Krondys' muscles to the wings. You can make out the bones on the wings and how the leathery flaps all sort of fold together. Really love that little bit of detail. And honestly, do a base coat, throw on some contrast paint, and it's probably going to look pretty good. Definitely though, these models cry out for a much more delicate touch and a lot of attention to detail, because these are going to be centerpiece models just from the sheer size of them. So then we get to the other model, which is Karazai the Scarred, and instantly you can see that it's the same model base. Essentially, the core of the model is the same. Some of the arms are different. The wings are slightly different, I believe. The head is definitely different. Karazai has a lot more scarring on him, hence the name. So I'm assuming some of the upper body to the neck and the head are going to be different. But other than that, it's the same model, which is a little bit of a shame. But like I've said a lot recently, I'm loving how kits can be built out in multiple ways. My own personal preference in this is that I wish they were 2 different poses completely, in that they were just 2 different sprues. Sure, they could be somewhat modeled on the same design, but posed differently. What can you say? What? I can't complain about having new dragons. Even playing Dungeons and Dragons with this, just plop it down on the table. Your players are just going to be like, no thanks. I need to go to the toilet. Oh no, too late. I'll wet myself. These models are super impressive. So Karazai is sort of left out of Sigmar's party, and he's just been going around Gur, just beating stuff up. So he's become pretty fierce, pretty all-consumed with wrath and vengeance. The article says is a bitter and a violent creature. So where Krondys, I imagine, would be more of a magic user, more of a leader character, Karazai would be much more just getting in and fighting and not really listening to anyone, more focused on just rolling tons and tons of dice in attacks and just ripping apart units at a time. So in the close-ups of Karazai, we can see the other wing, and I would assume if you saw its right hand wing, it would be the same as Krondys's, but like I said, it's generally the same sculpt, but you're going to get extra bits. So you can still see the extra amount of detail in the wing itself, just all those bones. You can just see the definition there of all the different parts. So again, contrast paint and a bit of even a light dry brush, I think would just be pretty good for this. And you can definitely see just in the colors itself, it's going from various reds through oranges to a very bright, it's not even a bright orange, it's almost a brown orange. So very minimal color work going on. But because you have all that texture in there, different surfaces and different shapes and things, it doesn't need much work. I much prefer the head of Karazai over Krondys, simply because you get much more of a character there. Half of his face is torn up with scars, almost like lightning scars, missing a horn or 2, blind in one eye. Just far more interesting from a lore character background perspective. So there we go, just 2 new dragons. And like I said, Age of Sigmar going to be stunning for Dungeons and Dragons and any other sort of tabletop role-playing game that involves dragons. I think throw these down on the table, your players are going to wet themselves and try to run away. So which one do you like more, Krondys or Karazai? I'm going Karazai. I think it's far more interesting from a model perspective, tells a lot more of a story, I guess I'm trying to say. But yeah, let me know. And if you have got this far, thank you for watching. I have been pumping out a lot of videos lately. It's an experiment just to see, trying to do a video every day at the moment, just to see how things go on the channel. And it seems to be working really well, getting a lot of good responses. So if you have found the channel recently, hello, welcome. Please hit the subscribe button, or if you don't want, hit the like button, because YouTube loves that kind of stuff. And it makes sure that you get to see more of these videos when they come out. So I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in another video.